Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 109 of the 476ers podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the draft and some other stuff. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 108. We're going to talk about last night's developments, a couple trades, talk about the draft a little bit. Not that I've done a ton of, listen. I can barely handle drafts of air. I don't even handle Miller Lite drafts well, so there's no way I'm handling an NBA draft. If there was a military draft, I would be ignorant to it. I'd be confused. I wouldn't know who the first pick in that draft would be either. But I want to talk about some of the stuff. I was paying attention to some of it, obviously. Talk about some of the Sixers stuff, some of the trades. Not that at one point yesterday, I also cut my beard for those who are maybe shocked to see they don't recognize me as the guy on the 476ers. I mean, I'm still the same size generally, but no beard. So now all you're going to see is my stretched out necks on all my t-shirts. All my t-shirts have stretched out necks, and the beard used to hide it. And now they're hidden no longer. That's neither here nor there. Well, it's because they're so stretched out, they're kind of everywhere. I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with anything. So yeah, we're going to talk about some stuff. So the draft, the draft kind of went a little bit left early. I think everybody, at one point last night, everybody knew Cade Cunningham was going to the Pistons. There have been a bunch of rumors about them trading the pick. Ultimately, I'll be honest with you, and I know everyone loves Cade. I'm not. But again, I'm not good at judging players. The only player that I think is I know is Jalen Suggs, and that's only because I watched him so much in college. I love how he plays. I kind of love his attitude. When I watch Cade, he just seems so kind of just floating from place to place. And I understand he's good. I don't know. The few games that I cherry picked to watch just always seem like it was. I don't know. I don't know. So if Cade is as good as he's supposed to be, he'll help the Pistons. Now, he's a little bit high talking about, they want us to get to the playoffs next year, and then he wants to compete for finals soon thereafter. I don't know who he thinks is on the Pistons with him. He must think it's the 80s, and he's like, man, it's going to be me, Isaiah, Joe, Dennis Rodman, the big white cocksucker, what's his face? Man, we're going to be out here, bad boys for life. There's this up-and-comer, Mike Jordan, who's at North Carolina still, but we'll worry about him when he gets here, and I did, for those of you who know history, I did Mike Jordan on purpose. Anyway, because he doesn't realize he's about to walk into the facility and see Jeremy Grant and be like, who are you? What are you doing here? You're the highest paid person here? Oh, all right. And, he's going to see Joe Dumars in the closet with two phones, even though he doesn't even work for the Pistons, but he doesn't know that. Then yeah, they're not going to go to the finals anytime soon. But if he's as good as people think, then they can definitely compete for an 8th seed. So we'll kind of see. Jalen Green, who I do like, I just in Houston is kind of. It's kind of confusing. They drafted Jalen Green, and then they drafted what's his face too, the big man, I believe. I can't remember his name right now. Yeah, Alperen Sengun, who's a back to the basket traditional big man. And they have another version of Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. and another version of it's not a version of a back to the back, but they have Christian Wood. So I don't know what Houston's plans are. It's not really my plan. They traded more first-round picks to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma has all the first-round picks. Oklahoma City has so many picks that they could do a military draft. They could actually start their own war on American soil. It could be the first civil war since the 1800s. You know what I mean? With as many picks as they have. So, I don't know. Somehow, though, because of that, Evan Mobley falling down to 3 really worked out for the Cavs. The Cavs luck into a lot of shit sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, when LeBron left and they had 4 picks in the top 4. I think it was 3 first-round picks or 3 number 1 picks. They had Wiggins and Kyrie. They also drafted what's-his-face from Canada that didn't turn out well. Who else did they draft? I can't remember, but it was just a whole thing, and now here they just lucked into Evan Mobley, who I've seen comparisons. I read a comparison a scout said that he offensively is Chris Bosh and defensively is Anthony Davis which just sounds like, so he just sounds like Anthony Davis to me, or Chris Bosh. Well, no, Anthony Davis is a little bit more fluid than Chris Bosh defensively, but so that's kind of crazy. We'll see. He's definitely undersized. He needs to put some weight on. But the whole thing about him is he's a center, but he can play. He can play the 4 and he can play whatever. So like their plan is probably to put him out there with the 4 because he can spread the floor out a little bit with Jared Allen and Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. We tried to trade Ben to them for everything they had, including their banner, their 2016 banner, whichever year that was that they won the championship, 15, 16, I can't fucking remember. Their banner, the legacy of Mark Price. We wanted all the young guys on their team, 25 and under. You have to trade them to us. So they keep Kevin Love and maybe Jared Allen. I don't know how old Jared Allen is, but everyone else they keep. We take all 25 and under. Plus, we wanted their first round pick. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Listen, at one point, I just knew we weren't going to trade Ben. You know what I mean? It was probably around 7:30. I was like, oh yeah, we're not. No, it might have been even earlier. It might have been like 6:30. I said, we're not going to trade this fucking cocksucker. Like, I'm not that he's a cocksucker. I mean, that's and not that sucking cock is insulting, but this is going left. The point is, I knew we weren't going to trade that Aussie son of a bitch. All right, I knew we weren't going to fucking trade him. Just because all the reports were ridiculous. There have been reports. It seems like either Daryl is high, right? He's either just high and is off the reservation, or that any team that he doesn't actually want to trade with, he's demanding ridiculous sums from them. And if they say yes, then fuck it, it works out. And if they say no, he didn't want to trade with them anyway, right? Because like, with the Cavaliers, really nothing you want there. You don't really want Colin Sexton. That's not enough. Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, like I like those guys. Then, all their first round picks, for Ben, doesn't really actually help us necessarily, right? So it's just saying, all right, this is a king's ransom. If you're going to give this up, that's your dumbass fault. Then from the Warriors, Wiggins is not attractive enough. And, I like Wiggins on the Warriors specifically because he gets space to take stupid shots because of all the floor spreading they do have. He's not going to have that here. And we don't have a point guard. So, no. But we wanted Wiggins, 7-14, and for all the future first-round picks as well. They obviously said no, but then there was obviously the Raptors trade, which we asked for Kyle Lowry, we asked for Fred VanVleet, his firstborn son, to make sure he can still shoot. We asked for OG Anunoby, who I like, the Jedi mind trick, and a bunch of first-round picks from them, probably because we didn't want to trade with them. But then when you hear like the Timberwolves, I haven't seen a trade package come from the Timberwolves yet, but that's all the rumors are saying that the Timberwolves and us are still talking. You know what I mean? So if we're still talking, it just either means that the Timberwolves are continuously still being a badly managed franchise, or we're not being ridiculous with them, and there are things that we would want. I would suspect that it's going to be D'Angelo. I thought it was high. Listen, the first time I heard someone say D'Angelo and Malik Beasley and a pick for Ben, I was like, you're fucking high. I can't imagine they would give that up. But it just seems like if we could get Malcolm Brogdon in one of the whichever holiday it was, for Ben, then maybe it isn't that far-fetched that we can get D'Angelo. Because I think D'Angelo, for a lot of people, I think D'Angelo is a sexier name than he is actually a player, whereas Malcolm Brogdon isn't a sexier name as D'Angelo Russell, but is a better player than D'Angelo Russell. But I think people sometimes get kind of confused with that. So we'll see. It's kind of confusing. You know what I mean? I don't know what we're going to do. There were some rumors about the Heat being involved, which I can't imagine. The only way I could imagine that's actually going to happen is that they're going to trade Jimmy for Ben, because Ben does not want to play with Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't want to play with Ben. I've theorized that Ben is who Jimmy was talking about after he burnt down our bridges and went to Miami, that the guys who don't work in the offseason, blah, 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 it was Ben. And now every story we've heard since then is pretty much just confirmed that that's the case. So I was like, well, if they're going to trade him today, and it kind of makes sense. If you really think about it, it kind of does make sense for the Heat if they wanted to trade Jimmy to us, because you're hitting a soft reset on something that wasn't ready to happen yet. You kind of lucked into getting to that finals. I've been said that was a fluke, and watching how last year played out, it's kind of hard to deny that. But all of their guys are young guys. They're all close to Ben's age. You know what I mean? So kind of makes sense. You trade us Jimmy. You sell off Trevor Ariza and Iggy, get them off the team, and you kind of have a soft reboot there. Because I can't imagine you trading for Ben, having Ben, Jimmy, and Bam. Not one of these assholes shoot. Two of them can make free throws. The other one can't, but none of them shoot. They're all playing within 15 feet, essentially, 15, 20 feet. So Ben less so, you know what I mean? Somehow Ben becomes the person under the basket while Jimmy is the best finisher and Bam is a better finisher. So I don't know. I can't see how that makes any sense. The only thing I could theorize is Jimmy. And other than that, I don't know. Doesn't seem like anything. We talked to the Spurs. We asked them for a bunch of draft picks, a bunch of young guys. That didn't work out. They have guys I like, but just not enough. It just doesn't seem like we're going to happen. You know, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. We ended up drafting Jaden. What's his name? Jaden. Damn, I can't remember his last name. I'm about to talk like I've been doing homework on him the whole time. Shout out to the homie TJ, who he called it. He said, I like Jaden Springer. It's crazy. TJ just has a Rolodex of college players in his mind because he told me he'd not been doing any homework. He's going into this draft, doesn't know anybody. And then at one point he said, yo, I think we should take Jaden Springer. Now I was asleep when he said that, but he said it when I woke up and I was like, that's pretty impressive. He told me he didn't know any of the players. You know what I mean? But yeah, he just pulled one out of his ass, and that was the one we drafted. After doing some homework on him this morning, even though I'm going to act like I watched them all through college, as a Tennessee Volunteer, the Vols, kind of a 3-and-D prospect, can finish around the rim. He shot. He's not really a 3-and-D prospect. I'm sorry. Let me take a step back. He shot a high percentage from three-pointer in college, but he only shot around 2 a game. Great finisher around the rim. Likes to jump off of 2 feet. Which is great. Sometimes is not so great, depending on who you are. And the NBA defenses are gonna key in on that and be able to stop it. So he's gonna have to find better ways to finish. His handle is a little iffy. The of all the games I watched, aka the scouting video on YouTube that I watched, it seems like his handle was good until he got to Tennessee, and then it looked like he kind of got uncomfortable, so he gets a little uncomfortable handling on the perimeter in that program. So maybe there's something there. His shot looks fine. His form looks okay. So I think that he will be able to shoot in the NBA eventually. Great defender. Can fall asleep sometimes off ball, but he's a good defensive player. The other 2 guys we drafted, one of them was the Turkish MVP last year. Even though watching those games, it looks like he was playing basketball at an LA Fitness. You know what I mean? Like, the Turkish league is just an LA Fitness, it seems, like a YMCA. But he was dominant there, tall, lengthy, smart defender, good finisher, can shoot, he has a nice looking jump shot too. And then the other dude is another center. What's his name? Now, this one looks like, if you watch his videos, if you watched him in college, like I watched him in college, AKA YouTube videos, if you watch those highlights, he looks very much like Bill Russell. But again, these are all highlights, so it's hard to really tell. Oh, man, did I pass the names? Yeah, Charles Bassey, that's it. He looks like Bill Russell in college, just blocking everything. Just eats up shots, super long, super great runner. He definitely can help. Like if he is something we can, that means that we can include Dwight in a trade and get him the fuck out of here, as long as Bassey knows not to come out here flagrant fouling everybody and their mother. And then the other dude we drafted, and I can't remember who it is, doesn't matter. Is the Turkish guy. He played in Gonzaga though. Kind of slow-footed though, but we'll see. So it's 2 big men. Jaden Springer, I like Jaden Springer. We'll see if he actually stays here though. I mean, there was a ton of rumors that we were going to trade that pick anyway. So who knows? Like, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe he ends up getting traded in a package with Ben for who the fuck knows what. I just don't see the Ben trade anymore. All the rumors we're seeing now are the Wizards. Kind of weird. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's jump to the Wizards real quick before I come back to making fun of Ben a little bit more. So the Wizards trade Russ. All right, we'll talk about the implications of that in a second, because people are a little bit high. They're out here talking about, that big 3, blah, 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 blah. Chill for 1 second. I'm gonna rain on me, Ashanti or SWV, the shit out of what you think that big 3 is gonna do. In LA. Anyway. So they traded Russ. Now, leading up to the trade, there started to be a bunch of rumblings about how Bradley Beal was recommitted to Washington. He doesn't want to be traded anymore, as the rumors of them trading Russ started heating up. And that, that got my being spidey sense went off. The spidey sense. I said, well, that's an interesting thing. As you're talking about trading Russ, Bradley's like, okay, cool, I'll stay then. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. Russ Scott kind of helped you get to the playoffs. You've been not a playoff team for a while now. So I'm a little bit confused by that. Just a tiny bit. And listen, I have a complicated relationship with Russ. I've talked about that a million times. I don't know what Russ is exactly. Great player. The numbers will always be, everyone always falls in love with the Russ narrative as he's getting kicked out of the first round of the playoffs, which is like kind of an ironic thing, like an actual ironic thing, not an Alanis Morissette ironic thing, not to run that back. Or a Drake. Let's go to Drake, not a Drake. I could do podcasts on Drake using irony incorrectly, because Drake, it's not ironic that the girl you want to marry is a wedding planner. It's never been ironic. There's nothing ironic about it. That's just a coincidence. And it's not even a really good coincidence, because you could have just seen her at a wedding because she was planning the wedding, and you're like, damn, that girl's beautiful. I want to marry her. And that's not even a coincidence. You just ran into a person who was doing her job, and you just fell for her. It's not a coincidence at all. Maybe it's a nice rom-com. I don't know, but it's not coincidental. I can promise you that. Anyway, point being, it's kind of ironic that everyone always falls in love for Russ as he's getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Because he plays his ass off. He plays hard. He leaves it all out there. And I can appreciate him for that 100%. I can always appreciate him for that. And I think it can be a little bit unfair. You know what I mean? It can be kind of a little bit unfair to judge him, only because, after KD, like, who has been his best teammates was Paul George, known as Playoff P, an ironic Playoff P for all those years because he was trash in the playoffs. See, again, ironic. That was ironic. Because he was trash in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So now he plays with the Wizards, plays with Bradley Beal. They have a bunch of, it's rough. It's a rough situation because of COVID, injuries, all this shit. He gets healthy, and all of a sudden he drives them into the playoffs with Bradley Beal. Bradley's only been to the playoffs with Russ and or John Wall. So, I just want to, I don't want to shit on Russ. I want to give him some credit, but I also want to bring it back down when people are acting like Russ is somehow about to transform the Lakers. So now here's Bradley. He's on the Wizards. The Wizards, they just drafted, who did they draft last night? I forgot already. I know I think I liked the pick. If I can recognize the name. I don't know. It couldn't have been this low, obviously. Maybe they didn't draft anybody last night. What is happening here? Whoops. I don't know what that was. Corey Kispert, right? Never mind. I didn't like the pick that much, but he's a good shooter. He should help. But now this trade, so they trade Russ, they get back Kyle Kuzma, they get back KCP, they get back somebody else I can't remember. Plus, I think a draft pick or something like that. Now the rumors are that they're going to flip Kuzma because Kuzma doesn't really fit there. They have Rui. They have what's his face, who I really am a big fan of, Israeli. Man, I can't remember anyone's name. I'm a big fan of his. He got injured leading up to the playoffs, hurt his ankle, dislocated his ankle, I think it was. Anyway, I like him a lot. But this is all redundant. Kuzma, Rui, and him, they're all redundant. You know what I mean? They're all kind of playing the same spot. They're kind of all tweeners, not really threes, not really fours. So they had three Tobias Harrises pretty much. But they're probably all better, higher upsides. So they're probably going to flip Kuzma to something else. But they are still somehow, so they traded Russ to make some room, essentially. The point was so that they can get some flexibility. Now, apparently they want to sign Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie seems to have it want to go to Washington for whatever reason. He thinks they can be a playoff team with Kuzma there, him, Kuzma, and Bradley. He also thinks he can attract players there. Now maybe he's right because he did that with the Nets. You know what I mean? He supposedly helped attract Kyrie and KD there or something. He certainly took a lot of credit for it. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen with this Wizards team. I can't imagine. I like Spencer Dinwiddie a lot. He would help us a lot. But I don't know that that's going to make them a playoff team. to be honest with you. I don't know that Kuzma's out here. Kuzma, you know what? Shout out to Kuzma. He's the biggest fan of himself. It's really impressive. And everyone should carry that in every aspect of their life. Just be a fan of you. You know, because this motherfucker thinks he can average 30 a game. He's almost positive of it. So good for you. Believe that. I don't think you can, but I'm not going to stop you from believing it. As far as the Lakers, yeah, so you needed more shooting. We came in and we said, okay, you need a couple things. We need health, right? Health for AD, health for LeBron. That's obvious. After that, you need shooting. You need shooting. You need shooting. So you traded KCP. I understand people want to shit on KCP. He didn't shoot that well. Okay, no problem. He's still a better shooter than Russ. Traded Kuzma, who can shoot a little bit, you know. But now you have Russ on the team. Russ is not a shooter. Barely a good free throw shooter. He's not a jump shooter. He can't shoot threes. He will shoot threes, ill-advised ones. He's not a good three-point shooter. LeBron, okay three-point shooter, a tick below average. AD last year was below average three-point shooter, not even a tick below it. He was just below average three-point shooter. Then you wanted to bring on Andre Drummond for whatever reason. I'm assuming they're not going to keep Andre Drummond, because if you kept Andre Drummond, that would be even a worst case scenario. If he was by any chance starting for you, that would be horrible. So whoever, I don't know who you're saying, oh, they traded Montrez. That's right. Montrez was in that trade, which was a terrible signing in the first place. That just didn't make any sense. AD, you're a center. LeBron, you're a power forward. That is it. It's time to accept that and move on with it. You're the 5, you're the 4, and now you need shooting. But now you're hard capped. They are hard capped like a motherfucker. It's the hardest cap. It's like if you tried a pickle container that has gas in it, because that's essentially what makes caps hard to open, right? Is the gas, blah, 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 pressure, adds pressure to the lid, can't open the lid now. Okay, boom. So you just pop a knife in that bitch, lift it. This is a lesson for you. Pop a knife in there, lift it a little bit, get some air out, open it, bang. But now they're hard capped. They're as hard capped as you can be. I mean, this bitch is filled with nitrogen. Even if you pop the cap with a knife, it's just going to blow up. It's terrible. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't imagine. I don't know who they're going to sign. I don't know how they're going to sign people. They supposedly want to trade for Buddy, but in order to trade for Buddy, Kuzma needed to be involved in that trade. Now you don't really have Kuzma, so what do you have to offer for Buddy now? I don't know. You need shooting. I don't know where you're going to get it from. This did not make you better. I'm going to be honest with you. It made you better because you have 3 really good players, but it's kind of redundant because none of them shoot. So I don't exactly know how that's going to work in today's NBA. They're going to win games, but when it gets into the playoffs, I don't know how that's going to work. I just don't know how that's going to work. If you played against the Bucks in the playoffs, let's say, and you just have Giannis patrolling the middle of the court, and all 3 of your best players are pretty much just operating from that same space, I don't know how you're going to win those games. I don't think this team is better than the Nets by any stretch, just by no stretch. So I would say everyone chill, pour some water on that fire real quick, because this team is not that good. I assure you that. So Jalen Suggs, by the way, fell down to 5. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry. I don't have any notes. I just came in here. I'm from the hip, just shooting from the hip. Jalen Suggs went 5, which was crazy. Scotty Barnes went 4. Now, Scotty Barnes, because it's the Raptors, you're going to take that and be like, well, maybe Scotty Barnes is better than people thought. But everything I've heard about Scotty Barnes is people are kind of like, nah, he could be good, raw prospect, no one's really sure. But if the Raptors took him, you kind of got to believe that they're good. The thing is, Jalen Suggs to me was the pick. I love Jalen Suggs. He would have been my first pick. He's the first pick of my heart. He went to Orlando. Orlando is a confusing team. They drafted another forward after Jalen Suggs. Who did they draft? Yeah, Franz Wagner, who is Mo Wagner's brother. I like Franz Wagner. He's a good player, but a bit redundant because you have forwards there. You know what I mean? Now they might trade Terrence Ross. They might trade him. You got Jonathan Isaac, who was kind of a 4. You got Wendell Carter. You got a whole lot of things there. Markel's there. Cole Anthony's there. You got a whole lot of things. That team is rebuilding. Right now, they just have an amalgamation of crap. You know what I mean? What their team looks like is if you went to a dump site and you turned on the world's strongest magnet, and it just started bringing things up to the magnet. But sometimes you had some good things in there, but mostly it's still just trash, right? Well, that's kind of what the Magic are. It's just one big magnet at a dump site. Davion Mitchell went to Sacramento. I like that, but now they have a lot of guards. They have 4 guards. I like Davion Mitchell a lot, good defender. Jonathan Kuminga went to Golden State. He should fit there, I guess. Again, people have been kind of up and down on him. Chris Duarte, Dominican, let's go. The Spurs reach for Joshua Primo. Take that with it what you will. I think that's it. I don't really have anything else to say about any of the other guys. People seem to be really hype on this Jalen Johnson character that the Hawks took because he shoots threes and Trey shoots threes, and I think that's all it takes for people to get hype at anything because social media. But it'll be an interesting situation. I as far as Ben's concerned, everything coming out right now is terrible. Everything coming out is terrible. All the rumors are that Ben hasn't really been working with the team. We came out and tried to assuage those rumors by saying, well, no, we talked to him on his birthday. That's cool. I talked to my mother on her birthday, but then after that, I may talk to her once a month. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't really talk to people. If I only talk to you, if my answer to you was when's the last time you talked to him? And I said on the birthday, that means that was the only time I've talked to him in this year. In 2021, I only talked to that person on their birthday. That was it. So a motherfucker reached out to Ben and said, hey, happy birthday. And that was it. He probably just left it on red. He hit it with the fuck you like, thumbs up. That's it. And Ben is out here fucking models. Good for him. But is out here fucking models, but not doing anything for his dumbass jump shot. So I don't want to see Ben here again. I promise you that. I'm over it. If he's still on this team next year, you're going to see the most critical version of me. And that's crazy to think. If you listen to my podcast last year, talking about Ben, I was critical. Next year, I'm not, even when he plays well, he's not going to play well to me. I don't know what we're going to trade him for. I don't know where, I just don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what we can get back for him. I need a drink just thinking about it, honestly. I just need a drink thinking about it. I don't know what's going to happen with Ben. The Dame thing, who knows? Brad, like I said, that seems to be off the table. Maybe the Pacers, maybe we can come crawling back to the Pacers. I don't know. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think it's enough. They want to trade TJ Warren. He was on the block yesterday. Could you get Brogdon and Warren? Maybe. I said on this podcast, you would have to take that deal. Originally, I thought that we were angling for Bradley Beal to try to sign Kyle Lowry. That would make sense to me, but I don't, doesn't seem like that's likely either. And that's not likely either anymore. I don't know what we're going to do. Ultimately, I don't know what we're going to do. So we're going to see. We're going to see what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Anything else? Are there any other trades that I can think of right here that happened? Memphis traded Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams. Been a bunch of rumors that Steven Adams has been working. All he's been doing is shooting threes. So next year, we're going to see Steven Adams shooting threes before we see Ben Simmons shooting threes. That's the press. It's not. I know it's not all about Ben, but goddamn, that makes me sad. I like Valanciunas on the. I mean, if Steven Adams is shooting threes, then they're kind of very similar to each other. So I don't know I don't really exactly know how that's going to go. I guess we'll see. Does that really make anyone better? Who knows? They did trade Eric Bledsoe, so by subtraction, that'll make them better. Lonzo might end up on the Bulls. That seems to be like gaining a lot of traction. A lot of teams want Lonzo. He would help a lot of teams for sure. Lonzo, as much as we can be, whatever on Lonzo, Lonzo is not here to be the best scorer. That's just not what his job is. You know what I mean? If let's put it this way, if we did trade for Bradley Beal, I would love Lonzo to be here then, because then you got Lonzo, Bradley, Joel, and Toby. And you have Lonzo, the playmaker who can hit shots, good defender, and you're good to go. There are some perfect situations for him where I think he'll flourish. I think he'll be good, but we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? I think that's it, everybody. Just a quick check-in. I'll probably put up another podcast next week about something else. I thought about doing a podcast on Simone Biles, but I already did one on Naomi Osaka for pretty much the same reason. And ultimately, I'll give you a quick summary. If you have any negative judgment towards Simone Biles, I just want you to know that you do nothing in your life as good as she is as a gymnast. There's not one thing in your entire life. Think about how sad that is. In the eternity of your life, there's nothing that you do as good as she is as a gymnast. So just keep that in mind. That's it, everybody. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Listen, we may have to mask up again. So, don't be afraid to rock a mask. Your breath's still kicking anyway. You're busted. No one wants to see. We didn't want to see you in the fucking first place. They forced us to see you when we took the masks off. And now you have the chance to go back to serenity with you wearing a mask because you're busted. So please consider that. Get vaccinated. That would really help us get back to some sort of normalcy. That would make me happy. And that's it. Take care. Black Lives Matter. Sorry. Rest the cops kill Breonna Taylor. Stop Asian hate. And that's it. Take care.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my mind. Used to come